This is Daniel Posney, and this is Shifting Perspectives. And today, the topic is called Getting Underneath Food and Alcohol Habits. And I'm not so much talking about alcoholism or anything, any uh, food. And of course, I can't think any, we need to go see the doctor kind of thing. I'm just talking about little habits that you might have that are not a big deal, and there's no real problem to it, but you're just kind of wondering, what if I didn't have that? That's kind of where I'm coming from. So I'm totally have no judgment about eating habits and drinking habits. I am not one to talk. So there was a time when I drank a lot and I never got into, I don't know how, but I never became an alcoholic, but I sure did try. And there was lots of alcohol involved. And like I always say, I'm really glad I had that at the time because I had nothing else. But as the years went by and I started to work on myself and started to find out why I was drinking, what the reasons behind it were, the insecurities and the beliefs and all that, then alcohol naturally fell off. And I didn't need to get drunk, or I didn't need to have so many drinks. And then it started being less and less and less as I kept on working on myself. And in the past year or so, it's just been, maybe one or two beers a week with food, with a dinner or with a lunch or something. Maybe I'll go to a Mexican restaurant and have a margarita, and they're so delicious. And I love a cold beer on a hot day. So please hear me when I say I have no judgment about alcohol. Um, I was just thinking about it. In fact, I think I'll read my description here. I recently stopped drinking alcohol and eating meat, even chicken and fish. For me, there was never a craving. What was the most difficult part was the psychological part, the reasons behind the habit. Like everyone, we all have our limitations or edges on food and alcohol. I would have one beer with dinner, and the meat that I ate was usually as healthy as I could find, like no McDonald's, no fried or fast food, mostly. I would enjoy bison or buffalo and salmon, thinking they were the healthy alternative. And after a physical day, I would reward myself with a burger and a beer, or an enchilada and a margarita. All completely, totally normal. But I wondered, did I really want those things, or were they purely habit, food, and drink? I also wondered how I might positively affect my health as well as my practice of doing what I do. Not because I gave up one to two beers a week, which was, nothing, but for the self-empowerment and the consciousness of it all. So that's kind of what I want to explain. Um, I didn't really see anything that was detrimental, although my cholesterol has been high normally, and I've taken Lipitor for it, and then I stopped taking Lipitor. And so one of the things was I wanted to see where I could go and heal the cholesterol, even though what's come out lately is that high cholesterol isn't as bad as what the medical establishment puts it out to be. It's partly to sell the drugs associated with that, but I still wanted to see what I could do to lower that by removing the little bit of meat and alcohol that I had in my diet. And then there's this other part where actually the main thing is I didn't have a craving for alcohol. I guess I don't have that trigger in me. I had the taste of the cold beer, or the deep, rich taste of a dark red wine, that peppery taste, that saltiness of the margarita. Those are the things that I'm pretty sure I was connecting with. But the thing was, here's the thing. I would say if Valerie would go out to dinner with her friends, I felt like I can't just sit at home. My wife is going out to dinner with her friends, and I'm not going out to dinner with the guys. What can I do for myself? So it's all part of loving myself. Or I would go out to dinner by myself and go get myself a cocktail or a beer and a nice dinner. And it felt really good to do that. I wasn't just slumping at home and pining for my wife to get back home. But it became a habit of reward. If I had a physical day at the house or at work, I would reward myself with a beer, and that was once or twice a week. And but I started to realize that it was so much a habit, like putting salt on your French fries. It was once I stopped eating meat, then that let go of having a hamburger. And not having a hamburger, I would not have the bun and the sauce and the cheese and the onion and all that stuff along with, and the French fries and the beer that went along with that. So just the habit of having meat can mean all that stuff. And I know that some of my friends, they just eat the meat, just the steak, and that's it. And it's much more healthier than eating all that junk with it. And still, I knew that there was a habit involved there. And I learned a long time ago that I wanted to decrease the number of habits that had a potential of being harmful to my body and my spirituality or my consciousness. So I'm not saying that if you eat meat, you're not as spiritual, you're not as conscious. That's not what I'm saying. Is that for me, it was kind of like a challenge, kind of like a test. Where can I go consciously? And like I've done a video that said something like, what if I completely let go of resistance? What if I completely did not resist? And that's kind of what I'm always kind of challenging myself for, is that it's not that I can't become fully enlightened or have a spiritual life while eating meat and alcohol. I can see that, I can do that. And what if I tried this? That's the kind of the attitude that I have about it. Is that what if I tried this? And the other part of it is that, my wife Valerie is on a healing journey with breast cancer, and she can't have any sugar or alcohol or meat, and it's just purely greens and good foods and, pure stuff. And, how does it feel to you if your partner's going through that and you're enjoying your margarita and she had no problem with it at all, and I had no guilt about it, no shame about it. But then after a while I go, what would it be if I just let that go, partly, kind of in solidarity with her. So that's the other part. So I realized that when I started to think about going places or doing things, like maybe when you think about hanging out with friends, you're going to have a drink. And, maybe you'd have a non-alcoholic drink, but you're going to have a drink. And if it's a hot day, you may have a cold beer. If you're really hungry, a nice beefy burger sounds good. They're all just kind of habitual kind of things that have like sometimes a societal connection with them. Like we all barbecue in the summer, it's all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to separate out what was societal and what was habitual and what was things that what I really wanted. And there's a distinction between what I want and what my brain wants. And that it's not what my body wants. Really, my body really doesn't need for a lot. It's really my mind that says it's time to eat, or I need some comfort food, or I need something crunchy and salty. That's what the mind or the brain is saying. But I want to separate that out to what do I want? And I want to be clean and clear and fresh and conscious and present. And that means that the whatever goes into my body has to be in alignment with that. So that's the reason why. That's a long way of explaining why I started this January 1st. And I'm at the end of the month. And uh, I'm not saying that I'll never have meat. It's not that kind of thing. Although I watched this movie and it showed me how even chicken and fish is processed, and anyway, it's just disgusting. And you just can't get away from it unless you have your own animals and you kill them yourself, which no one does. But the other thing is that it's a conscious being. It's an animal, but it's a conscious being with feelings. And you discount those when you eat meat. You don't think about it, but when you stop eating meat, that you will kind of allow that to come into you. So it's not to say that I won't ever have meat again. if we're all in Mexico and we're all just got done surfing and all they've got is chicken and beef tacos, I'll have a chicken and beef taco. When my brother comes out from Hawaii, or when my wife's sister comes out and we're all at the wine tasting, I'll definitely have wine. So it's not that kind of thing where I've shunned everything. It's just I'm leaning more into what really feels good to me, and that's for 99% of my life. So that's my reason. So I guess my invitation is if you're still here and you're not going out and go get a beer, you're thinking, no, I don't really have a problem with it, but it's I wonder, how much of it I can let go of. And for me, I need to just look at the habit of it, not that I never told myself I shouldn't have this, because then I start to judge myself, and that's a tough place to get into. But what I wanted to say was that, okay, I'm feeling like, okay, Valerie's gone uh, for her dinner, and I've worked all day on the property, and I'm tired. Man, it feels so good to get a margarita and some Mexican food. And I go, okay, is that going to be good for your body? No. But is it something that you're craving because you're kind of missing out on going out to dinner and you're feeling kind of the emotion of that? Like it's really kind of looking into what is the emotion that's coming up there, and it's a practice. And I started off just doing it, practicing it, and then um, maybe I would replace it with some kind of sweet. And so I would get some bread or a sweet, and that became my replacement for the meat and the alcohol. And then I let go of the sweet and the bread, and I get to eat more healthy. So it's just being really aware and really present with why is it that I'm going to this almost instantaneous desire for this kind of food or this kind of drink. And then it's just seeing that there's a separation between you and your mind, and it's the mind that wants that. So I think that's all I have for today. Hope that helps. I love you. Thank you. Bless you.